Hey everybody, Nigel here with you, Nigel's Model Adventure. Welcome back to the channel, and here we are now with part 8 of the build of this Scammell Commander. I keep going to call it a Pioneer. I have got a Pioneer, I need to finish it off. But yeah, part 8 now of this this build of this lovely little kit. Well, it's not lovely, it's alright. Got a few bits and pieces wrong with it, but hey ho. So as you know, we got part 7, we finished off the chassis, so that's all there now. That was yesterday in real time. Today is Friday the 16th of June 2023. And it's the afternoon and it's really hot. So yeah, once again, and poor old Jess is down here just crashed because she's so hot. Anyway, so that's that. So now we've got to move on. So we've basically got all the chassis done. So now we're going to move on to the interior. If you haven't been watching or you haven't heard me say, I've ordered the Edward PE set for this, which includes seat belts, dashboard panel, lights, mud flaps, a few little bits and pieces. So I'm getting to areas where I can't sort of go any further. So I can't carry on with the dashboard because I don't have the PE panel yet. I won't be able to finish the interior because I don't have the seat belts to go in, stuff like that. So what I want to do is paint the seats. Now, normally you would say, what do you want to paint the seats for? Well, this is really interesting, this model, because whereas you normally have like grey or green or brown or whatever seats, this one doesn't. Here you can see a photograph from this book. I've showed you this before, and you can see there is the driver's seat, and you can see the pattern on there on the material, and you can also see the brown around the side there. We've got the brown rubber mat on the floor. We've got a black panel there, and then we got this sort of, I don't know, this tan coloured, weird, sort of browny, greeny coloured plastic dashboard and that. So the instructions are completely wrong on their colours. They're telling you to paint the seats grey. I have actually seen a photograph of one that had grey seat covers on it. So that was actually at a show, so it wasn't an in-service vehicle. So maybe it had seat covers on because the original seats were tatty, I don't know. But that proves that at least one vehicle had seats like that. So I want to give that a go. They're also telling you in here to paint khaki green and olive drab and everything, and I don't think that is the right colour. We can see up on this door here, it looks like it's the same sort of green as the outside of the truck, and you can see on the window frame there, which would make sense. It would be sprayed NATO green, which is like this colour here. I've also noticed some have a black panel on the bottom of the door, which I'm not sure what that's all about, but some certainly do. They're also telling us in the instructions to paint the roof white. I don't think that's correct. I'm sure it's not correct, because when you look at pictures going through the book, I mean, I can't see a white roof up there. You know, I don't think having a white roof is the way to go. I think if that had a white roof, it would stick out like a sore thumb. So I don't think they're correct. I think the roof would probably be like a light tan colour, probably like a tan plastic liner or something. So I want to basically have a go at painting that pattern. So I had a little play with my Heinkel wing here, and I think I've got the pattern off pretty well. Let me find that picture again. Where is it? There it is. So you can see there we've got the sort of just off white, which I've used there is Deck Tan XF55, okay, and then we've got this sort of brown colour going over, which I've used XF60. You can see that's XF59, which I've used for the sides of the seat, which is very similar to the colour of the plastic. And then this XF60 is what I've used there for the lighter brown colour, and then I've used XF10 for the dark brown colour, and then masked the other way I've gone over with a heavily thinned mix of Deck Tan. And you can see I still had some brown left in the airbrush, because you can see, like on that line there and on that line there, you can see it's slightly darker than the Deck Tan underneath it, so it doesn't quite look right, but it would normally look like that one there and that one there. And obviously this was just done with 6 and 10mm tape, just to see if I get some sort of effect, and I really like the way that's come out. So I've now got to give that a go and get that pattern on these seats. So I've painted them. As I say, I've gone around the outside edge of them with XF59 to show that sort of horrible brown coloured vinyl that's around the sides of the seats that so many Leyland vehicles had in those days. Oh God. So there you go. So now we have to do some really trick masking and mask these seats up. I've also Peter sent me some pictures, thank you Peter, of pictures he looks like he'd taken looking through the window into the cab. I can see that this rear bunk and these separate seats, they were also painted in this, not painted, they were also made of the same material. So the whole interior is going to look really great with these seats in it, with that pattern on. So I'm going to get some masking done, and then when I'm ready to do some spraying, the first thing I've got to do is go around the sides of these and mask off all the sides. But I want to leave it to dry for a few hours first, because the masking tape's going to be on there for probably a couple of days, and it's probably going to want to lift. So I'll come back when I've done that. Okay, so we've sprayed around here with the XF59, which is desert yellow. So very similar to the colour of plastic. I can't remember if I already showed you this or not. And then I've masked up around there, around the sides, and gone over with XF55 deck tan, which is my base colour. Now, you saw the wing I did earlier here. Looking at the photographs again, I'm beginning to think, rather than brown, this is green. So I've changed my mind, and instead of using the brown, I'm now using XF61, which is dark green. So the three colours we're using on our seats are XF55 deck tan for the light, XF61 for the green, and then dark yellow XF60 for the tan. Now, looking at this seat, you can see it has all these different coloured bands in a crisscross pattern, and if you count them, I think it's 17 bands going across. And in between each band, you've got some of the deck tan showing through in a narrow band. So you've got a wide band, narrow band, wide band, narrow band, and integrating between the, sorry, not integrating, in intervals between whatever, interchanging between the green and the tan, green, tan, green, tan. Now these, like this, the seat is actually 13mm wide. So if you've got these 17 bands going across, if you work it out, each one's going to be like, I don't know, 0.7 of a millimetre, and then you've got to get in between those a light coloured band. So what I've done, I've just gone for something that's a representation, and here's the result here. And I hope you like it. I think it looks alright. I think it'll look alright when you look through the window, and you can see the sides there of that XF59. So you can see there, when you look at that seat, it kind of represents the Leyland sort of, the horrible Leyland seat that it was. So how did I do it? Some of you are going to be interested in how I did it, because you might want to have a go. What I did, I got my brilliant Infinity Easy Cutting Mat Type A, and what I've got is 0.9 and 0.5 bands. I did do some 0.7, but it was just getting far too cluttered. I've also got some here which are 1.6, or 2 times 0.8, for masking in between. So what I've done, if you can imagine, how can I show you this? Probably the best way to show you is on something dark like here. That's what I'll do it on the bottom of here. So what I've done, take a piece of 0.9. Okay, so imagine this is the seat. We get that central across the middle. Then I take a 0.5 and lay it down so it's butting up to it. Okay, so imagine that is perfectly butting up to it and it's dead straight. I know it's not, but imagine it is. Obviously you take more care. And then we take another 0.9 and put that one next to it and have that button up to the 0.5. It doesn't need to be perfect because they're cloth seats, so they wouldn't have been all perfectly straight anyway, especially once they've been sat on after for a few thousand miles. And then 0.5, butt that up next to it, just like so. Okay, and then another 0.9, and so forth. So that's the kind of thing you've got without the gaps, and it'd be nice and straight on yours as well. Okay, so that's what you've got there. So we'd have, let's just get another 0.5 and put it on the outside edge there. So I'll put a 0.5 there on that edge, like so. And we'll put a 0.5 there on that edge. And you can see how long this takes, and you can see why I've done one. I just want to see how it looks, which has been a nightmare cleaning the airbrush. I just want to see how it looks. Then, so I've got the base coat down of the XF55, okay? Then I come along and I remove, without lifting the 0.5, oh, here we go. I think Jess is going to start barking. There's dog barking battles. Here we go. Okay, so there's that one. That's enough, Jess. Yes, that's enough. So there we go. I don't want to stop the camera. So what we do then is take one of my 1.6mm wide bands, which I haven't yet cut. Let's do 2. These things, if you haven't got one of these easy cutting mats, get one. You can get them from Premium Hobbies. Absolutely bloody brilliant. And then what I can do is put that over that one, just to cover any gaps that there may be between the 0.5, the 0.9 and the 0.5. And then do the same here and do the same there. And then I spray my green. Okay, so I've sprayed my green, it's all dry. Come along with the 0.9, put the 0.9 back down, in between the 2.5s. Okay, just like so. So that's that masked now. And then we can remove our 1.6 from there, put that back on the bench. Okay, so we've got our green masked up now, and in the middle we'll have a brown, so we remove that 0.9 from there, and then we put a 1.6 over these, just to, oh come on, put 1.6 over those, just to cover any gaps in there. Just like so. Okay, and then we spray our brown. Then you can unmask everything and you end up with brown or tan and green stripes going that way up and down the seat. Remember, you've still got your mask around the outside to mask off the outside edge. So we've now got that. Now coming across this way, what I did here was started on the very front edge and I put a piece of 0.5 across, then another piece of 0.5, and then another piece of 0.5, so that's 3.5s, and then I put 3.9s, and then 3.5s, and then 3.9s, 3.5s, and so on. And then what you do is remove the second 0.5, yes, that's right, the second 0.5, leave the first one in place, so you end up with this narrow band of colour, then remove the first 0.9 and the third 0.9, then remove the second 0.5, then the first 0.9, the second 0.9 and the third 0.9, then remove 1.5, and then so on. So here we're putting a piece of 0.5 at the front edge as a start, then another 2 pieces of 0.5, 3.9s, 3.5s, 3.9s, 3.5s, all the way back, and then remove the middle 0.5 and then remove the inner and the outer 0.9. Okay, then with a heavily thinned mix of XF55, spray it over lightly so you get the colour coming through. So you can see the colour coming through here, coming through there and through there, which is exactly what the real thing is like. You can see the colour coming through there. So I reckon they look pretty good. So I think that when the cab's all built and everything's inside, I think it'll look great. So there we go, that's how I've done it. So I hope you got something from that. And we're only, 12 minutes into the video or something. So this is going to be a long one. Well, no, it's not. It's going to be a long one for me with a lot of. Oh, I know what I mean. So I mean, I'll be doing a lot of work, and you'll be seeing it in a short amount of time. So I've got to get all these done now, which is going to be an absolute nightmare, and the backrest as well. So that's going to take the best part of a day, I think. So I'll see you when I'm ready. Okay, so as you can see there, we've done the first step and basically gone in with the 0.9, 0.5, 0.9, 0.5, 0.9, 0.5 all the way along. And then I've gone over with these this 1.6mm wide strip to mask off every other. You've got a 0.9 with 2.5s next to it, with a 0.5 either side. So I've masked off those and then taken away the 0.9 in between in the gaps. So now we can remove the 1.6 strips. Okay, that's easier if I took this off of here. So what we do now is remove these 1.6 strips. And as you can see, what we've got now, it's easier said than done when it tries to take off what's below it. what that one's done, you see that one's pulled off the 0.9 that was underneath it, but we're going to be taking that out anyway, so it doesn't matter. So you see this one's trying to take away the 0.5, and this is the problem. It all gets stuck together and it all wants to peel each other off. It's a complete and utter nightmare doing this, but I think the end result is worth it. It's like sort of 3-4 hours masking for 2 minutes spraying. Just get them separated like that. There we go. As I said, it doesn't matter that it's taking the 0.9 with it, because we're going to be taking that anyway, because that in there is going to be green, and then where the 0.5 is, it will leave the light grey stripe. Remember, this is what we're trying to achieve. So there we go. So I'll carry on with this, and what I'll do then is I'll take another piece of 1.6, like so. If you notice I'm using blunt tweezers, the reason I don't use pointed tweezers is you start making dig marks in that and it ruins it. So we take another piece of 1.6 and go over the 1.5, over the 2.5s, sorry, just like so. Okay, and then what we're going to do, what have I done? I've covered the wrong part. It's because I'm trying to talk to you guys and do it at the same time. What I need to do is cover this one. Basically to cover the brown, so that when I spray the green, I don't get any green on the brown. You can tell the camera's on, can't you? So we go, now that piece of 0.9 there has got to come out. Okay, so when we do this over all the browns, then we spray the green, and then we remove all that, and then we start to do the other way. So we've done the green now, so we've masked off the brown, and we've done the green as I showed you just now and got all confused and did it all wrong. So now what we need to do is unmask everything, everything except for the sides. So we can just literally come along and just take off all the tape, and you will see here what we will get. Just pick off that bit of 0.5 there. So you can see we've got 0.9 brown, 0.5 grey, 0.9 green, 0.5 grey, 0.9 brown, 0.5 grey, and it's just like that all the way across. And as I say, it's not actually to scale. This is one of the problems with making videos like this. Literally 30 hours ago I was talking to you at the beginning of this video, and I think I mentioned the fact that it should be like on these seats, it should be like 17 different colours going, or 17 changes of colour going across, but to do that I would need masking like 0.1 wide. It would just be ridiculous. So I've gone for the sort of chunkier, simpler route, if you like, rather than, I mean, this was bad enough masking this, and I can't imagine what it'd be like if you had like literally 0.1 slithers of tape trying to keep them all straight and parallel. It'd be a nightmare. So so there we go anyway. So that's how it looks. Okay, and if you remember, once we put the diagonals on, it sort of really does break it up and makes it look a lot less basic. So I'll get all this unmasked, and then we'll look at masking the diagonals, not the diagonals, the perpendiculars. Okay, so there we go. You can see we've got the masking tape on now, perpendicular to the stripes. What I've done here, I've started off with the wider strip, and as you can see, I've purposely made this one a bit wonky so that it didn't look too, you know, so it looks like it's a bit sort of like material rather than just a checkerboard sort of thing. So I've gone in there. I've started off with a 0.9 on that front edge. Then, so what I've done, as I said to you before, 3.9s, 3.5s, 3.9s, 3.5s, 3.9s, 3.5s. You just keep doing that, and then you take off the first and the second 0.9. You take off the second 0.5. Take off the first and the second 0.9. Take off the second 0.5. So you're removing the inner and outer. You're removing the outer 0.9s, and you're removing the middle 0.5s, and that gives you that. Okay, now I realise we're only a few minutes into the video, but this is days for me, so not days, but hours and hours. It's 36 hours now, I think. So there we are. So they're all masked up. So I'm now going to go over with the XF55 deck tan, heavily thinned so that the green shows through. And I'm going to have to try and keep it all consistent so it all looks the same. So I think I'll keep this one to hand so I can keep an eye on it. Right, I'll see you in a minute. And finally, we're done. So there you can see we've got the two driver's seats there, driver and passenger seats should I say. We've got the bunk bed or the bed in the back, and then we've got the seats that convert into seats or beds or whatever in the back as well. So all in all, I think it's all looking pretty good. I'll give you a close-up just so you can see what it all looks like. There you go. So lots and lots of work for not really a lot of reward, but I think it's going to look absolutely amazing inside the cab. The only thing is, when you actually look at the cab, look at the size of the cab, you know, these tiny little seats, they're going to be lost in there. Absolutely tiny. So, but I think it's going to look different rather than just having black or grey seats. And after that Apache, which was just black, and I think this is going to be a bit more exciting. It's also got some interesting colours in the cab, as we showed before, and as we will look at when we come to paint it. So I'm really happy with how they've come out. I'll let them go off now for a couple of hours. I think I'll give them a clear coat to seal them in, because it is Tamiya XF paint, which isn't the toughest in the world, and if they get handled a lot, it might just flake off. But there you go. So just to recap, XF55 as a base coat, mask it up, XF60 for the tan, reverse the masking, XF61 for the dark green, and then perpendicular masking, heavily thinned XF55 to give that effect of the white going across, or the light grey going across, but you can still see the green and the tan through it. Yeah. So there we go. Really happy that it's come out. Really, really pleased. I might give them a little wash as well, just to sort of pick up the detail in them. So anyway, let's see what else we can do now. Okay, so it's yet another day now, and I've been doing a little bit of work here. Just thought I'd show you what I've been up to. You've got this box in the back here. Right, here we are. So we've got the seats. We've got the seat bases here. These are pairs. They go together. Bit of seam clean up in there. I use the end of the these things are brilliant. These diamond files. They are taper. They have a taper on the end. You can see they go down to almost a point. So they're perfect for getting in there and dealing with the seams. And then just a quick brush over with some Tamiya Extra Thin, and they'll be disappeared. So really nice. If you've got the right tools, you can do pretty much anything. If not, just get a new knife blade. Use the end of the knife blade and go in there and scrape it, and that'll help to get rid of the seams. But we shall see how they look when they're painted. So that's those glued together. A little knob to go on the front there. You can see there's a little knob on the front, so that's done. So that's those. Then we've got the actual seat bases themselves. We've got these rails that they go on. Okay, so that's them. And then we've got these seat bases themselves. This is the passenger seat, the right hand seat, and this has got like a little photo etch box on it, you can see there. And then this is the driver's seat, the left hand seat, and it's a bit unfortunate that we've got this end just open like that. So if you're going to build your model with the door open, you might want to do some research and see how that's supposed to look, because I'm sure that's not particularly accurate. It's either going to be boxed over or it'll be a much thinner frame, I'd have thought. But bit of clean up on there. There's a lot of moulding marks and stuff on there, so get those sorted. We've got the centre console, the gear lever and everything, gear selector, that's gone in there. I had a bit of filler in there. You can see I've got some super glue in there, and there was a sink mark on this side, so I took care of that. So that's all nicely cleaned up. That's all ready to go. You've got this box, which is actually external. This is on the outside. Here's the cab here. I've got the floor dry fitted in. You can see that box there is going to go in there. So what I'm going to do is fit that after all this is done, and then we can get in here and deal with any seams or anything. So that can go in afterwards. Remember, this is all going to be painted the NATO green colour. Steering column. The steering column cover there. They're asking you to glue that in, but it fits like a prick in a top hat. So I'm going to leave it till I got the steering wheel on and put it on then. Build it up as an assembly. And as you know, we've got the seats all painted and everything. The reason I've got this floor in here, I've got this all just dry fitted, is I want to see where the seats come, because when you look in the instructions, you get to this bit here and you can see what they're telling you to do is attach these seats vertically to that frame and these horizontally, and then you've got these nets going up, and that all goes up into there. So it's going to be sort of you can see it here, you've got the netting going up into the roof, you've got the horizontal seat there, and then you've got the vertical seats coming down, and they're going to rest on top of, oops, that wasn't supposed to happen. They're going to rest on top of this seat here. So let's put that back in there, like so. And because the camera's on, it won't go. There we go, it's all falling apart again because the camera's on. But I do want to show you this. So if you would please stay together, that would be nice. I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Right, so that's going to go in like that. So if we keep that pinched together, it won't go anywhere. So these seats, these are the ones that are going to go vertical, and they've got the hinges on them there, you can see, and they're going to face upwards. So that seat's going to sit in there. And as you can see, the back of it, you can't see because I'm not holding it, the back of it sits above the window line. So you're going to see the back of it. And before I put the card in, they look like that. They just look like a hollow box with ejector pin marks. So I've put some plastic card in there, and I'll probably paint that like plywood or something. And then when we look in the back window, because you can see it here, that you can see the backs of those seats. So when we fit them in, we won't see that hollow. We'll see the back, and there'll be a bit of plywood there or something. So that'll be a bit more pleasing to the eye. I also fitted these two parts here. I think they are A28, are they? Here, A48, those two parts there. I put those in because they come through, and this one doesn't matter because it's covered up by that box there. But this side they come through, so I've actually filled, there's a sink mark there as well. I've actually filled them in now with the super glue. So that's all ready to paint. I've glued this on, made sure it's all at right angles and everything, so we can paint it all as one. As you notice, I haven't fitted the seat. So so that's that. This is quite ridiculous here, because what they're asking us to do is fit these seats to this rail and then drop it in, and then they're going to have these PE mesh against the roof. I can't quite see how you're going to put it in, where it goes. There's no location for it or anything, so I don't know quite how we're going to go about that. So I'm going to look into it. I'm going to see if I can actually build all that onto the floor, because we have these vertical rails here, and I think they're going to pick up on the ends of these seats where you've got those cutouts. So I'm going to see if I can build it onto the floor and then put it all up in, because there's actual locations in the roof. You can see here there's locations for the tops of those there. So we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But I can't really do much more with this. I can get rid of that HobbyBoss stuff in there, because I'm waiting for the photo etch set from Edward. So I'm not really sure what to do. I may make a start on the trailer, because the thing is, I can get all this painted, that's absolutely fine, but I don't want to start painting the floor and everything and then find I've got to start removing plastic for the seat belts to go in, and I'm not sure if the seat belts are going to interfere with anything else. So I don't want to start building all this up and then find I can't get the seat belts in because this mesh is in the way or something like that. So I may make a start on the trailer, I don't know, we shall see. But watch this space and I'll be back with something, because we're not very long into this video. It's then painted then, so you can see we've got the tan coloured, or the brown coloured vinyl, which is typical of British Leyland. I actually found a picture in my reference book, and it shows the seat like that in the back window, and it is actually brown vinyl, it's not wood, so that saves me a job. So yeah, that's all going to look great in there, I think, when you think those seats are going to be folded down like that. And they also they fold up to become 2 bunk beds, so you can have another pair of seats in the back here, so you could have 4 people seated, or you could have 2 people seated and 2 people laying down. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, I think that's all going to look quite nice. So right, I also found out that netting that I called it actually looks like a mesh. Looks like it's there, so if someone's asleep, the meshing sort of goes here and here, so it looks like if they're asleep they can't roll off the bed. So I've also painted all these bits and pieces, got the floor done and everything, so that's all good. And that's, you can see here, that's why I put that piece in, these pieces here, put them in and then sanded it all flat, so you've got a nice flat bulkhead rather than having those pieces. We're going to have an issue with the floor when we fit the seat boxes in from underneath, but I mean it's from underneath, so we won't worry too much about that. And I've also finally got this bracket painted that goes on the chassis across those 2 uprights here, goes across there, so there we go. And I've also painted inside there black, because that's going to be NATO green as well, which we can paint before we put the lining in. There's all sorts of it's a very nicely detailed cab, to be honest. It's got all this nice panelling to go in, so that's all very nice. I've got to take the part number out of the roof there, we'll sand that away and probably do something with those ejector pin marks as well, just to make it look a bit better. So I'll get that done, and I will see you back for part 9, and I think in part 9 we'll make a start on the trailer, because as I say, I don't really want to do any more on this until I've got the Edwards set, because it's got seat belts, it's got the dashboard panel, I can't remember what else it's got for the cab, but I don't really want to be you know, having to redo work or be putting stuff in now that gets in the way. So I'm going to call it a day now for the cab. Hopefully by the time we've got the trailer, or during the time we get the trailer being built, I'll get a notification to say that the interior set is on the way. So I'll see you all back for part 9. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit the subscribe button down below, or down in the bottom corner of the screen just here you can see a little image of me. If you click on that, you can subscribe as well. And if you've liked the video, please hit the thumbs up, because it all helps the channel. So I'll see you all soon. Thank you for watching. Ta-da for now.